Welcome back to another episode of Georgia Sports Nation. We got some more Hawks and Braves content on tap for you guys tonight. We're going to be recapping the Angels series. Braves fall in the first game, but come back to take the series 2-1. Shohei Ohtani, Ronald Acuna, Spencer Strider. These stars were out in full force. Let's see how they did, and we're going to be recapping the series more as we go along today. Also, discussing the first game of the Cubs series. Braves go up 1-0 behind Mad Max Fried. He comes back 6 innings, 3-hit shutout, 8 Ks, 0 walks. We're going to be discussing his performance and the way the Braves offense is just rolling right now. Also, towards the end, we're going to be discussing, is the Atlanta Hawks roster finalized? Will the Hawks make any more trades? Any more free agency signings? Will they waive another guy? Because I believe we are over the roster limit with 16 guys on the roster right now. So without further ado, let's get into this Angel series. Joshua, what did you think of the Angel series overall? Were you impressed by any specific players, especially in the second 2 games of the series?
Yeah, I like the series as a whole, just to be able to take it. What I definitely liked is, not being stunned by how game 1 went, the lack of offense in the first game and how we just couldn't put the hits together. But as you see, we're just going to continue doing what we've been doing all season and putting the hits together and home runs in bunches, game 2 and 3. So I like how we bounced back.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, the homers have been coming in bunches for sure. I believe we've gone back-to-back 3 times within the past week and a half. That's just crazy. And Riley and Olsen have combined to go back-to-back 6 times already this season. I think it's, 6 times this season. So, and the record that Sarah Langs tweeted out is 8. So they have a chance to beat the record for 2 teammates
for sure.
To go back-to-back. It can happen. Yeah. But yeah, as you hinted at, in that first game of the series, really the Angels got off with a quick start. Luis Rengifo to start the series goes deep. Randall Grichuk and Chad Wallach, who had a 3-hit game, also went deep in that game off Charlie Morton, who had a second straight bad start. But here's the thing: it characterizes as a bad start because of those homers. But the famous saying goes, "Solo homers aren't going to beat you." And he allowed up 3 solo homers, had a sacrifice fly, and that's how they scored all their runs. But really, the Braves offense just couldn't get anything going. So in my mind, it really wasn't a terrible outing for Charlie Morton. He'll say it was bad. It wasn't his best for sure. But solo homers really shouldn't beat you. The offense should have been able to score more against Chase Stillseth. Jeez.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just you're gonna run into those games. We had that discussion earlier about it's a long season, 162 games. You're not going to score 4 or 5 runs every game. Some games are going to be pitching duels. Like you said, Charlie will probably think that it was a bad start. Three solo shots and then little bloops here and there. Shouldn't have done it against the team that we have, but they just caught us against the guy. And then he wasn't supposed to start that first game. It was supposed to be Cunny.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be him, but I guess you scouted a report for somebody and then they put somebody else in real quick, so you didn't even know. But they said we ain't worried about that.
Yeah, that definitely happens sometimes. And that happened twice in this series, actually. Ohtani was scheduled to pitch the second game of this series, but before this series started, the Angels actually had an off day, and he was pushed back a little bit. So the Braves actually never had to see Ohtani, which is, both good and bad. As a fan perspective, I want to see the Braves hit against Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
But obviously, it gives us more of a chance to win more games, win the series when Ohtani isn't on the bump. So it did help us in the end overall.
Yeah. I was fortunate enough, I guess, last year to see him. He had between 8 to 10 strikeouts last year, but we ended up putting up 6 on him late. And it's just amazing to see somebody of that caliber. But as a fan of the team, I don't mind not seeing him. I was also grateful for us to keep him out of, he did not hit a home run against us. So we'll take the singles all day.
100%. And we'll get into a little bit more of those pitching matchups versus Ohtani in the series, especially Strider. Strider against Ohtani, he had said some comments about, Shohei Ohtani in his eyes is just another hitter. And that's a great mindset and everything. But in my mind, did you see what Strider said? Like
I
he
didn't see
said,
him say that.
Ohtani's just another hitter. He's I treat all the hitters the same with the same mentality, and that's good and all to say in like the public eye and everything. But in my mind, if I'm on the mound and Shohei Ohtani's coming up versus like Chad Wallach, who, like I said, had a great day in the opening game of the series, but didn't do anything the rest of the series, I'm like, okay, I'm not having the same mindset or the same like nerves level of Shohei Ohtani coming up to the plate versus a number 9 or 8 hitter.
Yeah, but you have to try and have that type of mindset or something to psych yourself out to be like that. But no, he's definitely different.
Yeah. So, and like you said, the only run we got in that first game was Matt Olson, and it was his NL leading 36th homer and major league leading 89th RBI. So he's just continuing to tear the cover off the ball the entire second half of the year. Matt Olson last year, if you look at his numbers straight up, it's not really a bad season. But coming off, losing Freddie Freeman and having an MVP caliber guy over there at first base, Matt Olson will probably say he didn't have the exact season he wanted to last year. But this year, this is the Matt Olson that we knew that he could be when he first came here. A guy that's, he may not hit close to 300, but right now he's in mid 260s. He's got the major league lead in RBIs, and he's almost at 40 homers already. He's having a great year this year. Amazing.
With almost 2 full calendar months left, it's still crazy. The team as a whole still is amazing me, just by what we're doing with the injuries and things like that, but still being able to persevere and push through.
Yeah, and it was funny you mentioned no homers in that series. Ohtani actually almost did hit a homer in that first game.
Oh yeah, forgot about the Michael Harris.
Yeah, and Michael Harris in the top of the ninth. AJ Minter coming in to face Ohtani. Ohtani sends one to deep center field. Michael Harris is like, nah, I got this. Wall climbs, takes a homer away from Ohtani. And then we've seen Michael Harris do that, I think, at least 3 times this year. That's what I can remember at least.
Yeah, I love reliable defenders in the field. It eases your mind as a fan for one, and I know it's something off the pitcher's bat, something less that they'll have to think about as long as they have a reliable defense behind them.
Exactly. And overall in this first game, I think you can summarize it by you got to give credit to the Angels pitching staff. Chase Silseth was great, like we said. Struck out a lot of batters, only allowed the homer to Matt Olson. We couldn't get a rally going. And then Ronaldo Lopez came in for the Angels. We had just seen him a couple series prior with the White Sox because he was traded in the White Sox fire sale this deadline. And he's coming in throwing 100-mile-per-hour gas with that nasty splitter. We know he's a tough customer to hit off us. So I got to give credit to the Angels pitching staff there. But in the second and third game, we got him back. You there?
Yeah.
Wait. I think your camera froze here. All right. What's Joshua establishes gets back here with the connection, then we'll move on here to the second game. And in the second game, it was the complete opposite, almost the complete opposite of the first game. The Braves tack on 5 runs compared to the Angels only getting 1 run. Michael Harris ends his homer drought with two solo shots. And one was a solo and another one was a 2-run homer, including the go-ahead shot in the 5th inning. And when the Braves are hitting homers like they have been over the past 3 games, now with the second game of the Angel series, 3rd game of that series, and the 1st game of the Scud series, with the way the pitching staff has been this entire year, really, it's really going to be hard to beat this team. I really don't see anybody who can really go toe-to-toe pitching and offense-wise with this team right now.
Yeah. You don't, in the back of my mind, you always have that thought of, okay, hope we're not peaking too soon.
Yeah.
The funny thing about it, we now have the best record, and it's been like that for a good 2 or 3 weeks. Once we passed Tampa, they started actually showing their true colors. But what was I trying to say? because I lost my. Oh yeah, about us peaking too soon. People fail to realize we've had 2 or 3 4-game losing streaks this year, and we're still not at 40 losses yet. But already at 70 wins and on pace to have the most wins in franchise history in a season.
That's crazy.
As well as setting the homer mark, as well as, the most players with at least 10 home runs on the team. It's just this team compared to teams like 03, 2019, those are teams that, you really talk about in Braves history in the 95 team just because they won the World Series. But records-wise and power-wise, as far as bats and pitching-wise go, yeah, the 03 team and that 2019 team, you start to compare this team to. And it can be special if we cap it off with a championship.
100%. And speaking of history, like that you brought up, Spencer Strider broke his own record set last year by hitting 200 strikeouts in 123 in the third innings, and he did it by striking out Shohei Ohtani in that top of the first. He also struck him out later in the game in the second at bat. So he won that battle after talking some smack pregame about Ohtani. So he backed up the talk. That's what I'll say about Spencer Strider there.
Yeah, he's just a guy we picked up, and hope he continues to do what he's been doing. So,
yeah, he's continuing to lead the league in strikeouts by a large margin too.
Yeah,
and this is just we've kind of been accustomed to it. Every time Spencer Strider steps to the mound, you expect to see at least 7-8 strikeouts through 6 innings,
sure,
like at the minimum.
For sure.
And we also saw former Brave Jacob Webb come into the game as a relief for Patrick Sandoval, who allowed 2 runs on 3 hits and 4 walks. And that's the thing about this team. When you allow 4 walks to this Braves team, now you get into the position where everybody can hit a homer on this team. You got guys on base. That's the point where, they're not solo homers. They're 2 runs, 3-run shots. And that's when this team really can put an opposing pitcher behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, definitely don't give us any free passes because there's no holes in the lineup. So you're liable to get down in a deficit real quick if you start, walking us as well as, trying to pitch around or thinking that you're, getting around one guy to get to the next. It's not going to happen. We're stacked from 1 to 9. So,
yeah. And I mentioned Jacob Webb came onto the team. Orlando Arcia got a 2-run shot off of him in the 7th inning. And then Harris hit his next homer. So another back-to-back in this game as well when he hit his second homer, giving the Braves 5-1 lead and putting the game on ice pretty much. And the second game of the Angels series, I believe was this August 3rd? No, it was July 31st. But we've got now. Hold on. That is not true. That cannot be right. I don't think.
Yeah, 31st was Monday. So
31st was Monday. So the second game was Tuesday. So then we get to Wednesday, August 3rd. Wednesday, August 2nd is the MLB trade deadline, correct?
The deadline's on the 1st.
The deadline was on the 1st. Okay, so it was the same day. It was the same day as this Angels series. So, what were your impressions of the deadline? We picked up Brad Hand. We picked up Nicky Lopez as part of a backup infielder, and we've already seen Pierce Johnson that we traded for around a week ago. 2 from the Rockies actually with Johnson and Brad Hand. So, what are your impressions of really the two relievers so far? We haven't seen Lopez yet.
I'm always gonna after the years we've had with AA. I'm always gonna trust in him and that he's not gonna make any moves that's gonna hinder us more than help us. So if he didn't see anything past the 2-3 transactions that we made, then he just didn't see anything for the value that he could get back. He's not gonna overpay minus Ozuna, but he's trying to do his thing. But he's not gonna really overpay anybody. He's not gonna give it too many prospects for something that he doesn't see as being real valuable. So, like I said, I'm always going to trust in him. Do I think we could have made a couple? Would I have liked for us to make a couple more deals? Yes, maybe another outfielder per se.
Yeah, we were looking at Adam Duvall. I know that happened.
We've let go and brought back Duvall 2-3 times.
Already, it's crazy.
He's turned into Kelly Johnson. We did that Kelly back in the day 3-4 times. In the But anyway, yeah, I would have probably wanted us to go and get an outfielder. Other than that, I don't see anything he did wrong.
Yeah,
for the way that we were playing and going into the trade deadline.
Yeah. So, for me, I would have liked to get a starter. And I know Alex Anthopoulos actually said this on the broadcast. He said he was looking for a starter, and a lot of the teams were asking for a lot, and ultimately the deal never came through. I know a lot of people were looking at the Tigers with Eduardo Rodriguez and Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen actually was picked up by the Phillies, but Eduardo Rodriguez never ended up getting traded after a trade was in place to send him to the Dodgers. He didn't waive his no trade clause, and he ended up staying with the Tigers, which was kind of a crazy situation there. But those were really the two guys that I know a lot of teams were penciled in on as looking for starters, and the Braves even inquired about Justin Verlander, which I don't think the Mets would have ever traded Justin Verlander in our division, and especially to the Braves out of all teams. But I thought it was interesting that Anthopoulos and the Braves media team kind of leaking that out, because normally the Braves, and like you always say this, AA never tips his hand. He never tells you what he's looking at.
Nope, never. And stuff comes out of left field with him. I just didn't assume that we would make any trades. This was before the Pierre Johnson and the Taylor Hearn trade that we had made. And then he flipped Hearns real quick to get Nicky Lopez. It took one outing. But like I said, you never know with him. And for us to say, well, for Bleacher Report to say that about the Braves inquired about Justin Verlander, that didn't come from Anthopoulos, so I don't know who it came from. And we'll never know. I didn't even blink twice about it or get happy about it. Oh, what if this? What if that? No. So, it just is what it is. We didn't, and to earlier points that we had earlier this season, we made 2 or 3 moves in the offseason, and that was it. While the Mets were, spending and spending and spending, Phillies were spending it. We made 2 moves for real. Sam Hilliard, and I forgot who the other person is that we got. But that's it. We stayed pat for real.
Yeah.
Because this was nothing that you really needed to change.
Except for, well, we did. Even in the offseason, I mean, we got Sean Murphy was the big splash.
Yeah.
But yeah, Sam Hilliard, Kevin Flower. Other than that, the backup guys, we really didn't do much.
Yeah. So
as we got OG joining us here, OG Truth.
Let's see what's going on.
What's happening, man? What's going on, man?
We just discussed the Angels series. We're about to move on to the third game with the Braves routing the Angels 12-5 on Acuna, Riley, and Olsen homering with just the onslaught that is the Braves offense right now. So what were your thoughts on the final game of that Angels series?
More the same. Right now at this point, it's almost like you just kind of like. It's almost like when I say beating a dead horse, if I say beating a dead horse, would that make any sense? Like, we already know and expect what the offense is going to give us for 3 out of 4 days, 3 out of 4 nights, or if you play 6 games a week, 5 out of 6 games, they're going to bring it most of the time. You're going to have situations like what we had when we came out of All-Star break where the offense kind of sputtered a little bit. And didn't I kind of tell y'all to expect that?
You did, yeah. You exactly.
The offense kind of that's what's going to happen. But that lineup is studied out. Yeah, man, they on a record pace right now. We get a teaspoon of pitching, we should. Well, let me say this. Not always the best team wins the championship in either one of the sports.
Yeah.
So it's abundantly clear that we're going to go into the playoffs the best team. That's the only thing that scare me about us being this good like this right now is sometimes sometimes the best team just bottom out when they get to the playoffs. And we are still fairly young as a team, but I do feel like we got a good mix of veterans and all that stuff there. I don't want to get too ahead of the game, but at any rate, hey, look here. Back in the day, the Milwaukee Brewers played for a manager named Harvey King. Ask your dad about him. And they line up was so lethal. They used to call them Harvey's Wall Bangers. And then we got something similar. We got something similar here with the Braves.
Yeah, we had Acuna, Riley, Olsen, Homer, and this was all off Lucas Giolito, who the Angels really, this was the first deadline in a while that I remember the Los Angeles Angels that were, and they were buyers. They were buyers at the deadline. They obviously don't want Ohtani leaving. They want to make a run at the wild card for the playoffs. And Giolito has really had 2 rough starts coming over the Angels. What are your thoughts on that, Joshua?
Happy for him. No, I'm not. Let me start. But they're doing a lot, like you said, to keep Ohtani there. At the end of the day, you can still look at it. He is the offense. Definitely with Trout being out, he's going to be the offense. Last night, he went 2 for 3, 3 for 3 with a triple and a homer, and they lost on the grand slam. It's crazy. That's nuts. He's not gonna be able to do it by himself. And at the end of the day, he's a winner. You can tell by the WBC he's a winner, and not gonna stick around long for that. So them being buyers and them doing what they were doing, it might not help as much as they think. And Lucas, I don't know. I was in on him for a little bit, but seeing how it's going, like I said, AA knows stuff we don't know. So
yeah,
that's
a perfect way to put it.
Well, I'm gonna say this about Lucas Giolito. Look, sometimes, man, the hardest part about a trade is the adjustment. You got to uproot yourself and your family and move to another city. Even if it's just for a half a year rental, you got to uproot your family or whatever the case, or you may have to leave your family behind to go play in another city. And you got to build new. You got to establish new relationships, and you got to say goodbye to the old relationships. And that probably may be the case with Lucas Giolito, because we all know what he's capable of doing on the mound.
Yeah.
But I wish them the best unless they're playing us. That's about it.
Yeah, and he and Max Fried are great friends. They pitched on the same high school team, along with Jack Flaherty, if I'm not mistaken. So
how the hell did that team lose?
Yeah,
did they ever lose a game?
No, I think they made it to state. I don't think they won a state championship though.
Who beat them? Shit,
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't think they won a state because they didn't talk about that. But yeah, and then Jack got traded to Baltimore. So
yep. The Orioles are something else, man, this year. They're a fun team to watch. The Orioles remind me of like a more advanced 2018 Braves. Because they already had last year when they figured out their potential. Now it's a young team. They're having a ton of fun. I mean, I'm getting sidetracked here, I know, but the Orioles are just such a fun team to watch. I love watching their games.
I think the Orioles are more. I think the Marlins are more the 2018 Braves. I think the Orioles are kind of more of an advanced version, kind of a watered down version of the 2021 Braves. And that's the scary part. Well, they're that good.
Well, the Marlins, the only thing is with the Marlins, their offense, I saw the stat yesterday. The Marlins are they're first or second in hits in the league. Oh, they're first. They're first in the league in hits. Now, guess where they are in runs? There's 30 teams. Guess the number. I want both of you guys to guess.
They're between 28 and 30.
Probably 30 because they leave a lot of runners on base.
27th.
Yeah.
First in hits, 27th in runs. And that just shows you. I mean, they got a ton of guys that can hit, contact hitters. Luis Ariz, Garrett Cooper was one of those guys before he got traded too.
They're not leaving the yard that much.
Destroys us with singles. But they have nobody to get them home besides Jorge Soler. And when Jazz Chisholm isn't getting going, they really don't have any other power guys besides Soler and himself.
They got to be in the bottom 30 in homers too. I mean, if you leading the baseball in hits and 27th in scoring, they got to be bottom. They got to be in the bottom part in homers, because that don't add up. It don't make sense.
Yeah,
it don't make sense for you to lead the league, for you to be a leader in the league in hitting. And y'all excuse my voice. I'm kind of losing my voice a little bit. But it don't make sense. So but nevertheless, I like that Orioles team. I really do. That would be so fun to have a Baltimore Atlanta World Series.
It really would. Yeah.
That would be that would be so much fun. And guess what? See, this is what winning a championship does for me. If that team pull a Cinderella story and beat us in the World Series, it wouldn't bother me as much as losing to the Yankees. Does that make sense? Or losing to?
No, I completely, yeah, I get you.
Yeah. It wouldn't bother me if we played Houston and they beat us. It wouldn't bother me because, I mean, that could be setting up a major rivalry.
Mm-hmm, because we know we've matched up so many times. It would be the second twice in 2-3 years.
But listen, man, Red Sox and Yankees, even a California team, and I don't have a problem with the Angels. It's just like those sports markets, they're so pompous and they're so arrogant and snobbish. You know what I mean? You hate to lose to them. Just Boston and New York and LA, hey, Philly. Like I hated being put out by Philly last year.
Me too.
Because of their fans.
Yeah, I think I've said this so many times. No matter what you did, NBA, NFL, MLS, MLB, I think Philadelphia Phillies fans are the worst fans I've ever had to deal with.
Listen,
they're passionate. Don't get me wrong. They're passionate. But for me, when I would have been to some Braves games again, and their Philly fans there. It's just, to me, there's no say, okay, that was a good hit. I'll give the Braves pitcher some credit there, or hitter, or I'll say, wow, they were just a better team that night. They were like, oh no, there's some excuses. Oh no, the umpires always give you the game, even though the Braves pitched well or something like that. Like, there's always some excuse whenever I'm dealing with Phillies fans. That's my qualm with Phillies fans.
But you know what? Though? It ain't just Philly. It's the Philadelphia sports fans as a whole. About 10 to 15 years ago, somebody came. I think it was a Washington Redskins. So Philadelphia Eagle fans, they murdered a Washington Redskins fan, bro. Murdered the man outside the stadium. Trey Young got spit on up there.
Yeah.
Back in the playoff. Yeah. They some ignorant motherfuckers. They some ignorant folks, bro. I can't deal with them. I can't talk. I've been to punch one of them in their shit. You know how I move, Mikey. I'm not a violent dude, but they just something else. Nevertheless, long story short, I don't like losing to those type people. Losing to the Baltimore Orioles wouldn't bother me as much. I don't want to lose to nobody. Don't get me wrong. So please, Georgia Sports Nation, I am not saying I'll be cool with losing. No, I want to win every freaking thing. But it would be a real interesting to see a Braves Orioles World Series. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. But right now we the top two teams in baseball. They got a second best record in baseball right now, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, but yeah, they're playing well. And in the third game of the Angels series, we got to see the second start from Yanni Chirinos, who we picked up off waivers from the Tampa Bay Rays. See, what was your thoughts on him, Joshua? The stuff and just how he bounced back from a good start in his a good start to his first start, but then in the middle innings kind of got unraveled.
Yeah, this was the second start was definitely better than the first one. A little more confidence, a little more stuff was moving. Had the sinker working, had the slider working, and definitely, like I said, we're gonna back any pitcher that we have. So his confidence is gonna build the more starts that he gets, and we'll see. Like OG was saying, you don't try and get ahead of yourself. See if he makes a postseason spot, whether it's a long reliever or as just a spot starter we might have in the postseason. But He did all right. He did all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For me, the Braves, don't get me wrong. I know the Braves have had some relievers who've been sinker ballers. Like, immediately when I think of sinker ballers and the Braves, first name that comes to my mind, Johnny Venters.
Yep.
And
turbo sinker.
You had guys, Eric O'Flaherty threw a sinker as well. But when the last time we've had a sinker baller starter who's had like, that sinker fastball type of pitch. And he doesn't throw 95, 96 mile per hour sinkers. It's low 90s, 90, 92 sinker baller. When is the last time we've had a starter that's been mainly a sinker baller?
Derek Lowe.
I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, it's been a really long time. Because
he said Derek Lowe.
Yep.
He said Derek.
Yeah. As far as
damn. You done did your research, Josh. How old are you?
33.
Derek Lowe. Derek Lowe's not from that long ago.
Yeah,
when we had Derek Lowe?
We had him in like 04, 05.
05, 6, 7. He was on the team for a couple of years.
That's good. No, for a 33-year-old to remember Derek Lowe, because I forgot about him, and I'm 53.
Because I brought that up because I hate facing sinker ballers on the opposing team. Zach Eflin comes to mind as a guy who just always pitches really well against us when he was on the Phillies. Obviously now over there in Tampa Bay, but those guys, I just hate facing them. And seeing a guy like Chirinos pitching for us, it's much better because we know we can get some ground balls with some of our relievers we've had.
Well, guess what? Soroka throws a sinker.
Yeah,
Michael, excuse me.
Soroka does throw a sinker. So
yeah,
not seeing him. Like we've seen him a couple times this year, but we need to get him back in the mix because I'm glad you mentioned that.
I got a confession, Josh and Mikey. I got a confession to make.
Yeah,
I'm a 53-year-old man. I'll be 54 next Thursday. Good Lord willing. Now, but the only thing I play on PlayStation is MLB The Show. I do a little basketball too. So
I never play MLB The Show.
And when you were talking about hitting a sinker, I can't hit a sinker or a cutter for shit, man. Because I run a season with the Braves, of course, and whenever we facing a sinker and a cutter, okay. Whenever whenever I face somebody that throws a sinker and a cutter, I catch hell, man. I catch it. I catch it, man. But listen, Mikey, I got a hit and run. I got to go. I got granddaddy duty to do, man. Hey, good chopping it up with you guys, Josh. Mikey, I'll be back next week, man.
All right. Sounds good, OG.
Okay, y'all be good.
Yeah.
All right, see y'all.
Thank you, man. Yep.
But I'm glad he mentioned Michael Soroka because that would have been bad.
Yeah, I mean, in a younger Morton did more than he does.
Yeah,
now.
he did.
Now he's more curveball, but he definitely was all sinkers. When we called him up and when he got to Tampa, he was definitely sinker baller then. But
yeah, and it's more. And when I say sinker baller, obviously I know Bryce Elder kind of throws,
but it's slow.
But it's not one of those turbo sinkers.
No,
it's slower. So it was good to see Chirinos really throw like some textbook sinker stuff and get some ground balls on there. That's why, and that's what I really liked. Even his first start, he allowed the hits he got off him. They weren't really that hard hit. There were a lot of ground balls. They found through some holes. So I think he's looked pretty good in his first two starts here.
Yeah, like I said, the confidence will build the more starts he gets.
Yeah, for sure. And here, as we move on now to the game today, this was the most exciting news to talk about today for sure. Max Fried back on the bump, 6 innings, 3 hits, 0 walks, 8 Ks. Just a dominant performance from Mad Max against Dansby Swanson and his team now, the Chicago Cubs. What do you think from his performance just overall?
I definitely, was at work. I want to catch the highlights and look more into it. But that's so refreshing to see somebody who's been out over 2 months and come back and dominate the way he did in a hitter's ballpark because the ball flies out in So I definitely am glad to see that, and hopefully this isn't just spur of the moment, and he continue to get to the old self that we know he is, dominant person. 100%.
And you've got Max Fried, like you said, 2 months. His last start was May 5th, and he comes back. And the Chicago Cubs are not a bad team. They've been one of the league's hottest offenses coming into this series. They were just on a winning streak until it got snapped in the series before. So it's not like they were just a mid team. They were buyers at the deadline. They weren't sellers, at least. I don't know if you can call them buyers, but they weren't sellers.
Yeah.
So this is a good team. They think they can have a shot at making the wild card in the playoff race. So Max Fried definitely was a great job. And what you said was a great way to segue into talking about the Braves offense today. The ball flies out of Wrigley. It definitely did today. 8-0. We had another pair go back-to-back. Sean Murphy and Marcell Ozuna. And by the way, Ozuna's homer out of the park onto Maitland Avenue. So I said at the beginning of the season, I tweeted this out, and I got a couple responses. I was trying to find the tweet before the show, but unfortunately, I couldn't find it. I was searching through my past tweets, and I said Marcell Ozuna is going to prove a lot of people wrong this year. And I got a couple people saying, "No, it's not going to happen." Also, one said, "I don't want it to happen, but it might." And yep, it did. Marcell Ozuna now. I said under Guarov, one of the Braves reporters, I said, take some Braves hot take from the Braves. What do you think? Wait, sorry, hold on. I said come up with a hot take for the Braves that you actually think might happen. That's not just out of the blue. And I said Marcell Ozuna hitting 40 homers. I don't think he's going to quite get to 40, but I think he's going to be pretty close. Maybe 34, 33 homers. That's what I'm putting.
Because when I tell you that last year he had one of the quietest 20 home run seasons, I didn't even know he had 20.
Yeah.
I think he had 21. But I was just like, when did he hit those? It's just so spread out. But now it's in bunches. And he played well right up until the deadline. I thought we were going to use him as a piece. But his contract still hinders us a little bit. At the same time, he's going to continue to play right on through it. You have to – folk want to harp in so hard on his DUI and stuff like that. That was – in the domestic stuff, but on the field, he's still gonna do what he needs to do.
Exactly.
And 2020 was just a little sample. Then he went right on to doing what he needed to do again. So he continued hitting as long as he's gonna be in the lineup.
That's how I try to view it as. You've got his off the field stuff. Say what you want, but when he's a baseball player, his teammates love him.
Yep.
And Michael Harris has mentioned that. Austin Riley's mentioned that. Even Matt Olson has mentioned that a couple of times, I believe. So the teammates love him in the locker room. 2, he's almost, if he didn't have one of the worst stretches I've ever seen from a baseball player in the beginning of April and May, I think he was 5 for 55 at some point.
Yeah.
And after he went down to Miami, a switch flipped. And he's been pretty much that good ever since. I mean, if he didn't have such a bad first couple months, we might be looking at him as an all-star and getting paid like as much as his contract's worth. Now, those 2 months definitely hindered his numbers, but right now he's definitely playing up to that contract, that $18 million.
And I don't know if we want to give him all the credit, but we can credit him for getting Michael Harris out of his because he told him what I did. So right after that, Mike had that bunt single, and it's been up since. And nobody in the line has stopped hitting for real. And if Murphy slumps for a little bit, then you have Darno, but nobody slumps at all. So,
yeah. Speaking of Murphy, he had been dipping a little bit since the All-Star break. He hasn't been hitting as well, and then today he goes up and he goes and hits a homer. So right now, we can go through all the lineup. Acuna tearing the cover off the ball. Ozzie hitting well right now. Austin Riley might be the hottest player on the planet right now. Same with Matt Olson. You've got then you've got Sean Murphy, who's hopefully getting into his groove now, and Travis Darno, Sean Murphy, both of them kind of get their spots, kind of get their starts. And you've got in the 6 hole, you got Ozuna playing well. Eddie hasn't been exactly tearing the cover off the ball, but he hasn't been terrible. Orlando just coming out of a slump. He's now hit homers in 2 of his past 3 games. And you got Michael Harris, who's might have been getting up to 270 near his average now after having a similar first couple months to Ozuna, really.
They were both in the 150s at one point. Yep. So it don't make no sense for them to be 200 anything. But like we said, from top to bottom, the lineup is stacked. One of the best moves, and I don't know if y'all remember me saying it earlier. I could have sworn I said that I felt always hit better towards the top. Him and Acuna are like brothers. So it's definitely was a move. I think we did this back in 2019 when he batted second and he had, 30 homers. The whole infield had 30 home runs except for Dansby. I think he had 27. But yeah, Albies was batting second that year. Majority of the season, he batted second. So when we, towards the lineup and you moved them around, I said, you have to keep a certain lineup for a while for them to get in their groove. So, Olsen was second for a while. Then you slide him back to third. Then you slide him back to clean up. Put Riley at third. Well, hitting third because he plays third. Yeah. And now it's clicking. When the team was hot in April and May and June, April and May, Riley wasn't really doing anything. Then he got hot in June by himself when everybody else started falling off. Now it's all starting to click together after the All-Star break. And I just, press forward and keep doing it through August and right on in September and October.
Yeah, and I'll take the hit for this because I've said on this show, I think a couple of times that I don't really like Ozzy at the top of the lineup. And he proved me wrong and the reason why I said that wasn't just because I think when you look at his size and his skills and not a number standpoint, you've got a power as a second, you've got a power hitter second baseman, you got speed, and you've got contact bat to ball skills. That's perfect for a second hit on the lineup, really, because you can knock the first guy in, you can also steal a bag if the first guy gets out, and you've got excellent bat to ball skills. But for me, the reason why I wanted Ozzy in like the fifth spot, almost the fifth or sixth spot, getting run opportunities to drive in, is because he struck out a lot and he didn't take his walks. This year, he's doing so much better taking his walks, not trying to do too much, taking what the pitcher gives him. And that was the complete change that I really wanted to see from Ozzy. And he's taken that approach. And you've seen that the second hole was kind of a little bit weird. We had Dansby there for the majority of the year. Last year, it was a weird year with Ozzy last year, being hurt a lot of the time. But him being healthy pretty much this entire year has been a huge, huge difference, I think, for him. Because it's been a couple of years since we've had Ozzy in there penciled in for almost 150 or so games.
Yeah. Like I said, since that 2019 year. And those numbers are looking similar if he doesn't, end up breaking those personal bests. But us being healthy lineup-wise definitely has helped or almost overlook the fact that we've had so many injuries pitching-wise. Because if we, if we talked about it, I said that somebody on Twitter was like, okay, the Braves have been running a 3-man rotation. They have Strider, Morton, and Elder all have 20 starts. Nobody else has more than 5. So you're putting that together, and you've done that for 4 to 5 months of a season is wild to have the best record in baseball. And being healthy, like I said, on the lineup side of it, Acuna his plate discipline has definitely gone up. Stuff he would lunge at, not doing it. He's taking his walks, and it's really scary. If you're not going to pitch to me, okay, I'm going to take my walk, then I'm going to steal on you. And I'm going to end up with 50, 60 bags, which probably will be more along the lines of mid-60s to almost 70.
Is he at 52 right now, I believe?
Yeah, with 2 months left.
He might get to 70.
He's already the first 25. He could be the first 30, 50 person in baseball.
Braves.
Yeah, Braves-wise. Because Eric Davis and I forgot who the other person was. I don't think it was Ricky. Somebody else. He's
not hitting that many homers, I don't think.
Yeah, no. Ricky did one time. I think he had 40 once.
Oh, he did? He hit it once. Okay.
Yeah, but as far as that, he would be the first 30-60 period, but he would be the first 30-50 in Braves history. And it's coming because he hit 26 of the night. Tomorrow, 25 the other night. So yeah.
Exactly. And tomorrow, Wrigley Field, they have a lot of day games there. And tomorrow's another 2:20 start. We got Sunday Bryce Elder on the bump facing Javier Assad. And okay. Bryce Elder, I'm really looking forward to this start because coming out of the All-Star break and in the start right before the break against the Rays, we saw Bryce had 3 bad starts. He bounced back last start, had a great one. And let's see if he can do it again, see if he can, carry that momentum to this one tomorrow because I saw some people saying the regression monster has hit Bryce Elder. We might be in an emergency situation and only have 3 quality starters because Morton's had a great year. I don't care what you say. Morton's had a great year. Yes, he gives up his homers. Yes, he He'll walk some people, but for the majority of the time, he's going to get 5 or 6 innings. He might give up a homer or 2, but he's had a great year. And then you've got obviously Max Fried and Spencer Strider. But Bryce Elder, after those 3 starts where he really struggled, people were saying, are we in trouble? But he quieted them down with the last start. So let's see if he can do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely hope he continues. He was top 2 going into the All-Star break in ERA. I want to say he's like 8th or 9th now. He's up to a 3.3.
Got a 3.18 now.
3.18. Okay, yeah. So he should bounce back. As long as you keep the ball low. His struggle was as a sinker baller and one who does not throw in the mid-90s, you can't leave it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's doing. He's walking too many. He's walking 3 or 4, 2 to 4, and then you're leaving that sinker up. So they're going to definitely dial in on that.
Yeah,
he has to start at middle, and then it breaks down. Yeah, so
exactly.
Get it. I believe in Kranitz as well to get them back together.
Yeah, Kranitz has done an amazing job this year. Tackling the pitching staff when I believe you said it, you had Schuster, you had Dodd, AJ Smith-Shawver, Michael Soroka. Those guys have all had less than, you said 4 starts?
Yeah, between 4 to 5 starts.
Those guys have all had no more than 5 starts. And to just have 3 consistent starters with Strider, Morton, and Elder, you've got to really credit Cranny's job to be able to handle that pitching staff and get everybody to be their best version of themselves, because he's had a lot to juggle.
Yeah, you lost Chavez. We don't know when he's coming back. Dylan Lee is on the 60. No Matzik this year. So it's
no Nick Anderson. He's on a 62. Hopefully Dylan Lee's coming back in the next couple of weeks is what I heard. But Minter coming back is huge. Another lefty, especially
you need another lefty
with Lee out. And Brad Hand. Brad Hand is a great pickup. That, for me, Brad Hand is a guy we really needed, because we get a great setup man. And if Iglesias is unavailable, he's had a lot of experience closing big games. So in a pinch, we have Minter who can close a game or 2, and Brad Hand if one of them's unavailable. So that gives us some flexibility, and I think Hand can come in and be a high leverage guy, especially as a lefty specialist.
Yeah.
Because that curveball's nasty. That is what Brad Hand's been known for. That's why he's an all-star for his first couple of years of the seasons. For his first couple of years in the league, he led the league. He led the league in saves a couple of times. Then that curveball's been his bread and butter. So hopefully he can continue that with the Braves. And he's also the first person in MLB history to play for all 5 NL East teams. I think that's what Sarah Langs just tweeted. I can double check that, but I believe
that is true though. Yeah, because Kelly Johnson played on 4. He didn't play on the Did he play on the Marlins?
Kelly Johnson? I don't believe. No. I think it was the Nationals.
Okay, yeah. I know he didn't play. He played on 4 at the 5, so he almost would have. Well, actually, he played on Orioles too and the Yankees, so he would have been the first one to get all the East.
So the current NL East team. So
yeah.
She tweeted, with his Braves debut, Brad Hand is now officially the first player to play for all 5 current NL East teams. So maybe when they were the Montreal Expos or other teams that. Or the Florida Marlins, maybe somebody did. But, Miami Marlins, Washington Nationals now. Now he's the first player for the current NL East team. So that's pretty cool.
Okay.
Any other Brave stuff before we briefly discuss the Hawks here?
I think we've covered everything. They've wrapped it up for us real nicely.
Definitely. All right. Now, as we get into this Atlanta Hawks talk, we got a little bit more let's say 2.5 months left at the start of the season. We start late October, early November is always when we start. So do you think the Hawks roster is finalized for training camp?
We discussed. No, we don't. No.
I don't believe so either. For me, I think we will end up trading Clint Capella. Even though we will take a hit rebounding wise, I think it's the best move for the organization. Now, I want to make this very clear, and I've said this multiple times on the show. I like Clint Capella. I know what he brings to the team. He's very valuable. That's why a ton of teams around the league want him, especially Dallas. And when his value is this high with a year or 2 left of control, I think you got to trade him if you're the Hawks because you get the biggest value. If you go into the season with him and still have a Okongwu on the bench, or even starting a Okongwu Capella on the bench, he loses some value because let's face it, he might be facing some regression. He's not old, but he is getting up there, and I do think that it's the best source of action. We get the best value, and Okongwu's ready to start now. So I think that's why ultimately the Hawks should look to trade Capella before the season starts.
Yeah, he was one of the names when we talked about it earlier. Not me and you, but me. Well, it is me and you. Me, you, and Big Ant talked about it. Who, when the season ended, when we got put out, who do we think was going to get moved? And the same two names came up. It's Collins and Capella. And who would get moved first? Who had the most value? I didn't think it would be Collins first, but since
I said Capella as well.
Yeah, since his name had been swirling for the past 2 years, then it was just kind of like, okay, yeah. But with Capella, it's probably best to go on and do it now, just like we did, Falcons with Matt Ryan. Rip the Band-Aid off, and not as far as you said taking a hit rebounding wise. So yeah, we will definitely be doing that. And depending on the night, his defense.
Yeah, but depending on the night is a good way to put that.
Yeah, depending on the night. But I mean, you probably do have to move on and get what's his highest trade value now.
Yeah. So Keyshawn, when you say you'd rather keep the same roster for right now, who are you starting at the 4 now that John Collins leaves? You can have DeAndre Hunter slide to the 4 and put in Saddiq Bey at the 3. Also, Jalen Johnson's an option there. So who are you starting right now? If you were the GM, or if you were Quinn Snyder and the season started tomorrow, who are you starting at that 4? Because for me personally, I think I'd like Jalen to start for his defense. And this is me saying Clint Capella is still on the team. I'll do both. For me, if Capella's still on the team, I think you have to start Saddiq Bey at the 3 and move Hunter to the 4. And here's why. I'd love for Jalen Johnson to start defensive-wise, but you've got Trey and DeJounte, 2 excellent guys in the pick and roll, and Quinn said we're going to go away with less pick and roll, move more into a motion offense, 5-out type of shooting a lot more threes. We need still a lot of spacing for that. And when you have Jalen Johnson and Clint Capella, or Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu at that 4 and 5, that definitely limits some spacing. So while the defense is great, I think you have to start Saddiq Bey at the 3 and put Hunter at the 4 along with Capella if that happens. Now, if Okongwu is the starting center on day 1, I think we can get away with Johnson and Okongwu and then Hunter at the 3. I still think it would be a little bit cluttered, and I would rather see Saddiq Bey at the 3, Hunter move down to the 4 with Onyeka starting. I know that's small, but I think that with Jalen Johnson's offense and that 3 ball not being there as of right now, I think you can't start him with Capella. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, well, he ended up answering and saying Jalen.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that's what you can kind of see, that's what Snyder wants to do, shoot more threes. And he's definitely not in the business of, we've missed a couple and we're going to stop and start putting it in. No, he still wants you to continue to shoot out of the slump. So if we're moving more to a motion and 5 out, the lineup that you said, it makes more viable sense because we know Hunter can shoot it. We definitely know Saddiq can shoot it. And, DeJounte, depending on the night, and Trey. Then you'll need somebody to rebound. Then on the second unit, you'll have Patty Mills shooting it. Yes. Bogey can shoot it. And then you have Jalen Johnson, who's still learning. You know what I'm saying? His 3 ball is coming along.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Jalen right now, and I want to see it at the beginning of the season, is the confidence from beyond the arc. Not necessarily, yes, I'd love for him to make them. But when especially in the Boston series, you saw Jalen Johnson on the offensive end, they really didn't guard him at all. They let him take those 3s.
Yeah. Okay.
So if he can have the confidence to make those and take those, then I think we can get away with starting Jalen Johnson and DeAndre Hunter at the 3. Because, yes, Dre can shoot it, but he's not the volume shooter that you really need to pay attention to off-ball movement-wise every single time, like a Bogey, Saddiq, or AJ.
Yeah. I.e., why we should have picked Cam back up. I'm sorry, I'm off of that. I'm definitely still upset about that. but hey.
Yeah. I do agree with this though. Bogey and Bay coming off the bench. I would rather Sadiq Bey come off the bench, but if we don't trade Capella and we still have DeAndre Hunter, who I assume, as long as Pascal Siakam is not an Atlanta Hawk, I think DeAndre Hunter stays here because he's the main piece that package would be, that trade would be around. So if we have DeAndre Hunter and Clint Capella still starting on this team, I think you have to put Bey in that starting lineup. But I would rather see him off the bench, if that makes sense.
You have to put Bey in starting. Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
because you can't have, like, let's say Siakam was here, or sorry, let's say Dre was gone. Or geez, can I finish my thought? Let's say DeAndre Hunter was still here and Capella was not. You're gonna start Okongwu. Okay. You're gonna have DeAndre Hunter. Then you can put Jalen Johnson and really have a versatile offensive lineup, and you've got 3 great defenders in the backcourt. In the front court. But
yeah,
with Capella, Capella's not going to be an outside threat at all. We know he's not working on his 3-point shot like Okongwu. Okongwu has that 18 to 20-foot mid-range game. We know that now. So I think you can get it. That's why you think you can get away with starting Jalen Johnson at that 4 with DeAndre Hunter, as long as Clint Capella is not here.
True.
But yeah, that's my thoughts on the trade player situation with the Hawks. Any other news before we wrap it up?
I think that'll be it. We've touched base on all we could touch base on Braves wise, and we're not going to dig too deep into the Hawks because we still have a couple months left, like you said.
We still need to
they haven't even released the schedule, have they? They ain't dropped the schedule. Yeah, so
not yet. So once the schedule, we're definitely going to talk about a schedule once they release that. For sure.
Yep.
But with that being said, thank you guys for joining us this Friday night. We're going to be back next week. Don't forget, 6:00 p.m. Eastern, Georgia Sports Nation. If you like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Hey.